Hey, what's up, WCReplays.com? This is Orange back again for another audio array. So yeah, this one's going to be Orc vs. Human, part 2, because a lot of people are like, oh, what happens if it's Lost Temple and they do this in Fast Expo? And I was like, okay, whatever, I'll cover that. Basically, it's Grubby versus Todd. It's a fairly newer replay. Because it's, new Todd as opposed to old Todd, so it's got the mouse tag. But yeah, this is basically worst scenario, cross-spawn Lost Temple. And I'll go over a few things that you can do, when to fight, when not to fight, when to base trade, and when to expo, stuff like that. Basically it's a when to audio. I'll be giving tips for the human as well. Anyways, let's get this going, because it's really early, and yeah. Oh man, crazy times. Anyways, 45-second mark, Grubby's point of view, fog roar off, I guess, and we'll unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. So basically what you want to do on Lost Temple is what Grubby's doing, and he's actually going to be scouting early with his peon. And basically the early peon scout makes it so that if you do see, cross map, you can actually do something about it, as opposed to, well, maybe he's next to me. If he's next to me, I don't want to run all the way across the map and then screw it up. So you want to send out the early peon. Sure, you're not going to get the early lumber, but you can always just do the nice E for return on your lumber peons, and you can actually get earlier lumber that way, and then you can set up your burrow a little earlier. Just a little tip. As you can see, Grubby just did so. And bam, early burrow. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Also, hero selection, Grubby's going with the Farseer. Generally people go with, what's his name? The Blade Master. I was going to say Blood Mage. I don't know why. But yeah, usually people go with the Blade Master, and then they just kind of run across the map and Fountain Horde up, and then just make sure that the Expo can't go up, and that a whole bunch of peons get ganked in the process. And basically what you do is you sacrifice a whole bunch of HP and a lot of early game mana, and basically what ends up happening is you end up doing a lot of running back and forth, and you really don't level up your hero much, and you don't really gain any actual map control. All you really do is stall the map control process. So, as you can see, Grubby has found out where Todd is, because, you can see his little scout farm at the beginning, or at the entrance. Generally, human players will build one there, and one a little closer to, like, the top right corner of the elevated part of Lost Temple. Sometimes they'll build the little column at the bottom left, but usually it's, it's somewhere in front of the entrance to their expo, just to make sure that that isn't happening. Which Todd isn't really being that aggressive on the expo, but he is setting it up. So what Grubby's doing is he's actually going to split up. And one thing I will point out is that he is going to be building a voodoo lounge relatively close to Todd's base, and there are advantages and disadvantages with this. One advantage is you get to heal up pretty early. The other disadvantage is that, like, it can get ganked pretty easily and focus down, and you don't really have any peons to repair it. So basically it's in a little more vulnerable area, but the benefits that you gain out of it, if you're going to be doing an early push kind of like this to try and take down their expo, is monumental. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Also with the Farseer, you have to really make sure that you EXP deny. So summoning wolves is going to be an entirely different set of priorities, because you actually have to summon them pretty early on your way to harass them, just so that you can unsummon them by the time they almost die. And then you kind of want to stall for your next set of wolves. You don't want to summon them right away and then kind of push. Because really what's going to end up happening is you're going to lose one or two of the wolves. And EXP giving is not cool. Especially when they're human, and they can always militia creep the crap out of anything anyways. So yeah, there's that. One other thing to point out is that he is splitting up his wolves and his Farseer and grunts. This is a really good tactic to do because it makes the human panic about 2 things at a time, and really you don't have to worry about the wolves. They do give a lot less EXP, and they don't really cost anything. So, I mean, besides 30 EXP or whatever, depends what level wolf they are, but, you know, still, all you really have to be concerned about is not losing them too often. If you lose them like a bunch of times, you're just going to end up screwing yourself, so that's one thing to keep in mind, is don't screw yourself by losing a bunch of them. As a human player, always put up an arcane tower. Obviously, Todd is going to be going for a faster tech, because, oh my god, less towers. GG. Not really. One thing to keep in mind, is that you want to keep plenty of lumber peasants, just because you want to get a lot of lumber kind of mid-game. Just so that you can power build your buildings, and you can survive kind of tier 2 pushes when you're not at tier 2 as a human, as a human player. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So, really, what Grubby did was he decided to kind of stall off on the, on the push. I mean, the Arcane Tower is up, the Expo is up. He's not going to do relatively too much more damage, but one thing he did go for was the level 2, which is a smart idea when going for creeping. And great thing about Orc is, unless you go Shadow Hunter, you can do this. If they try and heal something at the fountain, all you need to do is send a wolf or use your Blade Master to wind walk it, and basically you attack it and then wind walk. So anyways, as I was saying, Grubby was running a little short on mana because of the massive amounts of wolf summons. So one thing he did was decide to chill out on the push, try not to lose any more wolves, and then decide to go for the level 2, and then just kind of abuse Chain Lightning and actually get some free kills that way. So, Tauren Chieftain pops out, and obviously he's going to be going with a Raider push early on. You don't want to be setting up a Spirit Lodge, instantly, because really what our tower is going to do, you don't really need to spell. Spirit Link isn't really going to help you much. It's true. All it's really going to do is spread out the damage a little bit, and since you already have the fountain at the middle, you can heal anyways, so it's not really that big of a deal. All you have to do is keep it out of range of the Archmage. So yes, way to go. Yes, pressure continuing, and one thing you want to do is keep the Archmage low on health, because then it kind of makes them cower in the back of their base a little more. One thing that you can do, and one thing that's fun to do, is if they don't actually have tower, is you can actually sneak a couple wolves into the back of their base and then have them freely beat on a whole bunch of stuff. But unfortunately, since you're playing human, that's kind of something that ends up being avoided, because it really doesn't do anything, and all you end up doing is wasting a whole bunch of mana. You don't really waste EXP because they don't gain EXP from that. So, as amazing as this may sound, Raider is kind of dominating. Really sure footies will rip apart Raiders in even food numbers, but with a couple grunts and the whole Chain Lightning or Chain Wave thing, footies don't really stand a chance, especially when they're, they're footies. They're really not going to do anything even if they're upgraded. So, a little more pressure going on the Expo, just because it's a little more open. It's got less of a defensive base build. It doesn't really have the farms protecting everything. But one thing that you can do is actually just go straight after the peons. Unfortunately, the main is right now it's kind of open because a couple trees died. But, it's a little harder to get in there and deal some damage. So one thing that you want to do is, if you're facing mass towers, is patience. Patience. I can't really explain how important that is. I've won many games just because I've been patient and been like, okay, there's tower. Don't want to force things, just let things happen. Eventually they're going to have to come out of their base. That's just the way it is. But really, you don't want to force it and be trying to force them out of their base the whole game and then end up screwing yourself. So really, Grubby's doing the smart thing, and he's pressuring at opportune times. I mean, Todd doesn't even have Sorceress out yet, and his Mountain King is still stuck behind his altar. So there's really not much he can do besides hide behind his Expo towers and hope that nothing happens, and then really just kind of force a whole bunch of repair at his main. One thing that I always do as Orc now, always, is get pillage. Even if you kill one farm, it's worth it. just because not only are they probably repairing, but you're going to get